Where does Camino de Costa Rica come into play?
The trail is this huge sustainable development project as a way to bring economic development in a sustainable way to these super rural areas in Costa Rica. A lot of people who live there and who have lived there their whole lives can't afford to live. So the point of the trail is to kind of help bring Westerners to other parts of the country so that we can foster economic growth.
Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by Topo Athletic. I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis, sitting to my right is...
Hi, I'm Juliana Chauncey, aka Chaunce.
We are 10 days away, Chaunce.
10 whole days.
How are you feeling?
Excited.
Yeah.
I've never been to Austin before.
Have you been to Texas?
Yes, I've been to Texas. I've driven
You
through a
like
bunch.
that? Okay.
Well, I've driven through a bunch, but always from one place to a different place.
Never been a destination. Always passing through.
So I usually just go through a stretch of highway from start to finish that's surrounded by bad cow smells.
Sure.
And slaughterhouses.
We're landing in a very cool spot in Texas, Austin. We're going to be there in 10 days, like I said, April 17th at Soundspace at Captain Quack's. Get your tickets. We have an amazing, super secret, special guest.
Mm-hmm. And our last live show did sell out, so if you're thinking, I'll just get them at the door, I would get them in advance, because you never know. It's a hot show. All the people in Austin want to go.
Yeah, will put Southwest to shame.
Yeah. Southwest actually asked us if they could sponsor this, and we had to say no.
Sorry, we're too big.
Yeah. But another hint about our guest is that he has hiked the Peak Trail twice.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Peak Trail?
I can, after April 17th,
okay.
live at Soundspace at Captain Quack's in Austin, Texas, with you guys there. Yeah, very much looking forward to this one.
Yep.
As of the recording of this podcast, I don't think we've had somebody guess it correctly. We've had a lot of guesses, but not any correct guesses.
No, we had people nominate him in the past.
Yeah.
But those nominators have not, I guess, been guessing.
Nope. They haven't. Next is, if you enjoy the show and you want to support your favorite backpacking podcast, head on over to patreon.com/backpackerradio, and as a bonus to you, you will get every episode ad-free.
Mm-hmm.
No advertisements.
Not a single ad.
Yeah. And you can get that for as little as $5 per month.
Yep.
We've been doing this now for 7 years, haven't raised the price even a penny.
It's been 8 years.
Yeah. 8 years, see?
We're actually technically, in the way years work, we are in our 9th year.
Jesus. I don't understand how time works.
Well, because when you're 6 months old, you're in your first year.
Right.
Get it?
Yeah, I do get it.
So the fact that I'm turning 33 on Friday in real time actually means that I'm finishing my 33rd year, which is
I should
really
know this.
terrible.
We started in 2018.
Yes, we did.
This is 2025.
Yes, it is.
How are we in our 9th year?
Because we started in January of 2018. So January 18 to 19 is 1, 19 to 20 is 2, 20 to 21 is 3. What did I just say? 18 to 19, 19 to 20, 20 to 21, 21 to 22, 22 to 23, 23 to 24, 24 to 25, and we're in 25 now.
That's basic math.
Maybe it is 7.
I always thought 7 plus 2018 would be 2025, but I'm not.
I think you know what? I think you might be right.
Seemed like a pretty easy math.
I got a 710 on my math SATs too. That's bad.
Well, we teach the test here at the Trek, and our next reminder is if you are taking a long distance trek in 2025 and you want to be part of an awesome backcountry team, apply to be a Trek blogger.
Yeah.
That's good enough. Let's get right to the interview. Today we are joined by Maytal Agasi. Agasi would be with 2 S's,
True.
like the tennis player, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We're not related.
No relation, because you're missing the S.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who has hiked the JMT, Colorado Trail Pacific Crest Trail, and most recently a trail you've probably never heard of, the Camino de Costa Rica. Very excited to learn about that one. Carrot Top, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell us about getting a parasite on a trail.
Really going right in.
Rip the Band-Aid right off.
So, I'm medicated currently. We're still going through it. I recently found out I'm going to actually be treating it for the next 6 months.
Whoa.
So it's pretty fun.
What is it? Is it just an antibiotic, or what's the medication?
I'm on some antibiotics right now. Hopefully I'll be done with those next week, and then I'll be on a bunch of herbs for the next 6 weeks. Or no, not 6 weeks. 2 months, and then probably longer after that, to rebuild my gut biome.
Yikes. What
So
are the
this
herbs?
is-
Can we go directly into your medical history? Is this a HIPAA violation?
The herbs that I'm starting to take, I can't actually remember which ones they are, but I was taking prior to the antibiotics a bunch of grapeseed oil and wormwood and artemisian and a few other ones.
Huh.
Are these doctor prescribed, or are these like,
Yeah.
are you like into herbs?
Both.
Okay.
But the doctor did prescribe them, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What's the parasite?
So it's technically not actually a parasite, which is what I just found out. I have pretty bad candida and H. pylori, which I think came from a river in Costa Rica that I was hiking with on the Camino de Costa Rica. And this one day and a half, I had to have a guide with me since I was hiking through an indigenous territory. And he really just kept insisting that I didn't need to filter the water. To the point that I didn't filter the water. And here we are now.
Yeah. What are the symptoms like?
Well, now it's not as bad as it was, but my first day back in the US, I pooped my pants 3 times.
Hey! Welcome to the podcast. Okay, yeah, well, welcome back. So these are just like explosive diarrhea spurts?
Yeah, now it's like mellowed out to just like a perpetual bellyache.
Okay.
So good reminder to filter your water.
Yeah,
Sawyer is great.
yeah. Have you been in contact with the guide who instructed you not to?
I haven't, but I've really been thinking about it.
Yeah, just be like, hey, by the way, for future instances, it didn't go so well for me.
Right, yeah. It's like impossible to fully say it was that moment,
Right.
but how would it be any other moment?
Yeah.
Is kind of how I'm thinking about it.
You didn't go into Costa Rica with any of the symptoms?
No.
All right. Yeah.
And it was like 2 weeks to a T after the moment
Yeah.
was the pooping the pants day.
So as you can tell, you're on a very ginger-friendly podcast. I think we had some preconceived notions about your trail name, Carrot Top. How'd you earn that trail name?
So fair. That's typically the question. People
Yeah.
look at me and it's like, really? Doesn't make any sense. So I mentioned before, I'm a garden educator / farmer adjacent. But I'm just a vegetable enthusiast more than anything, and so I carry veggies with me at all points, even though they're so heavy. And I have like a crocheted beanie that's a carrot. It just is what it is. It's adorable.
That's fun.
That's cute.
So a garden educator.
Yeah.
What does a garden educator do?
So I run community and school gardens in a little town along the Colorado Trail and the Continental Divide Trail.
Salida.
Salida.
Yeah. I guess give us what's your day to day like?
Every day is different. In the growing season, which in Colorado we have a super short growing season, so about 100 days in Salida where we can grow things outside. So during that period of time, I'm in the field with kids all the time, planting, growing, tending, weeding, harvesting, cooking, having fun. This time of year is some grants and registration pages and stuff like that.
Wearing all hats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The carrot top and the artichoke head or
Yeah.
eggplant, whatever.
You should get different hats for different tasks. And then
That
wear
would
them.
be really fun.
Yeah, so someone's walking by your office and they can say, "Ooh, can't talk to her right now, she's in grant mode."
Right,
Versus-
eggplant only.
Versus based on what she's wearing now, I know she's going to the garden.
I think the
I love-
eggplant hat might also give some people some ideas.
Based on that hat, she's rich. Never mind.
What is the best plant?
I mean, my name is Carrot Top, so I feel pretty aligned with the carrot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you're packing out produce on trail, is a carrot what you're consuming the most of?
Typically, yes, both because it's my name and so it's like, it just makes sense. But also it just packs out really well, you know, it's never gonna get smushed, it can kind of handle the elements. If it gets cold, perfect.
Yeah.
If it gets hot, it's just like a little wiggly.
Sure.
Are you packing baby carrots or are these full length?
No baby carrots. I'm not into them. They get slimy and gross.
Okay. Are you cutting the outer skin off of?
No.
You just ground them out.
Going right for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going
Okay.
pure orange carrot or like the medley?
When the medley's around, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
But I do think the flavor in an orange carrot is better.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's your second favorite vegetable?
Wow, no one's ever asked me that before.
Thanks.
I don't really think, it's not technically a vegetable, but I love a tomato.
Like salt and pepper.
Farm fresh, sun gold, perfection, heirlooms.
Yeah. Are you ever packing out a tomato on trail? That's a delicate one.
No,
Yeah.
no, that squishes.
Yeah, real quickly. Yeah.
I do sometimes pack out avocados. It's like, it's heavy though.
Yeah.
For like, you're carrying a pit all week.
I've done that. And I've thought this is a great idea. And then I've opened it and looked at the pit and thought, misjudged this one.
Yeah. I've carried like berries and fruits and apples. I've carried most vegetables and fruits.
Is an avocado the highest, the most amount of non-edible weight for anything that is plant? That is a plant?
That is plant.
That is plants.
I
I
am
am Zach. I love lamp.
I think pineapple would be worse.
That's true. That's a good call.
That would be. I did just say I've carried all of the things out. It's a lie. I've
No
never carried
pineapple.
a pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That
one
would be
tough.
awful.
People might get a different idea from that one too. You've heard of that before, yeah?
It's the swingers thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
It'd just be too pokey.
Too pokey for sure. How'd you get into hiking?
I guess. So in 2020, I took some time. I was in college. I took some time off. And
For something agricultural related or plant?
No, I just needed to not be on a computer all day.
Yeah.
So I ended up actually doing a trail crew out of Steamboat.
Sorry, I was asking if your education was something particularly
Oh,
related.
yes. I studied environmental studies at CU Boulder.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So like adjacent.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But not. I didn't study agriculture.
Are you from Colorado?
No, I grew up in North Carolina.
Oh. I don't sense any sort of draw at all.
My parents aren't Southern,
Ah,
so I swung it.
okay.
Swung growing up in the South without the twang.
There you go. Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay. But getting into hiking, I did this trail crew at the beginning of, or like early-ish 2020 into the pandemic. And more than enjoying trail work, I really enjoyed and loved living outside. And then both my brothers lost their jobs / quit their jobs, and all of a sudden they were going on this cross-country road trip. And I was like, I'm not doing anything either, might as well join you guys. So all three of us were living in our parents' old CRV for like almost 6 months, two of us together, and then with three of us, it was like 2 months in the CRV.
You guys must get along very well.
Yeah.
Incredibly well. We've never had a fight. It's impressive.
Are you being serious right now?
I'm being
Never
dead
once in
straight.
your life had a fight?
I can't think of one.
Wow. Your parents must be saints. Like, what's the explanation for how
Yeah.
you've never had a fight?
We just like each other. They're
Yeah.
cool.
So
Like immediately suspicious.
So let's say you were starting a family now and you wanted to inject that sort of familial kinship with your offspring. What would be your mode of raising them to have them get along as well as you and your siblings?
I honestly think it came down to this one moment. My mom's listening. When she listens to this, she'll laugh that I'm telling this. But, so my parents were restaurant owners, and so they were gone all the time, and we had this huge backyard. But eventually, I think my oldest brother was like 10, and she made him go to like babysitter training. And she like said to him, okay, like you're the oldest, you're in charge of your siblings. I'm gonna pay you like $2 to babysit your siblings. And he was like, heck yeah, like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get paid for this, amazing. And then she went to my middle brother And she said, okay, he can't do everything. Like, I'm going to pay you $1. And then she came to me and she said, you're the only girl in the house. You're the only one who knows anything. I'll pay you 25 cents. And so we all felt like we were responsible. We felt responsible for each other, though, because we were on the clock.
That's so smart.
That is really clever, yeah. She made you all responsible for the outcome of that situation.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason we've never gotten into a fight.
That is never, not a single fight.
One time I stole my middle brother's computer for an afternoon, and he was frustrated.
What?
But, like, I wouldn't have said he was angry at me.
Yeah.
It was just like, dude, you should have asked.
Yeah. Well, if you want to know how poorly it can go, as of this podcast, we recently released an episode with Justin True. Tuned into that one because the sibling thing can go much worse.
Oh, yeah.
Different sides of it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so 3 of you in a Honda CR-V, which is what, like a mid-size SUV? I forget. Yeah.
Mid-size SUV, not that big, not that small. We were in it for a while.
Yeah.
You're sleeping in it?
Only sometimes. We tried to sleep outside as often as possible, but there were like a few days that wind was insane or we couldn't find a campsite or things of that ilk.
And no one's nagging for more space.
It was just enjoy the suck.
Older brother's not ripping out a fart, and you're like, man,
that definitely happened. There was one night next to the sand dunes. The wind was absurd, as it gets in the San Luis Valley. And so we were all in the CRV. It was our first night all sleeping in the CRV. I was in the driver's seat. My oldest brother, Zeev, was in the passenger. And then Geffen, my other brother, was like sprawled on the top of all of our gear with his brand new pad, which of course got a hole in it that night. But we decided to actually make the Agasi family drinking game that night, and then it was totally fine.
What does the Agasi family drinking game entail?
We've never played it again. It has about 40 rules, and all of them include just taking a shot when something is mentioned.
Hell yeah.
So
I like this game.
It worked.
You guys all have very cool names.
I was going to say, are your parents hippies?
Adjacent?
Mine was more open-ended, but way to get it.
They're all Hebrew.
Yeah.
Their Israeli names are like pretty standard Israeli names, but in the U.S. it's like, what is that?
Yeah. So describe hippie-adjacent. Are they also vegetarians?
Ooh, did I tell you I was a vegetarian?
Well, you mentioned that you packed out a lot of vegetables. Usually that's a correlation.
Yeah, no.
Maybe I'm making assumptions.
You made the assumption, I think, but you were spot on.
Okay.
So, adjacent, so my dad grew up in Israel on a socialist commune, and my mom met him there, living there. So I would say hippie adjacent, but like they have a pretty standard life.
Yeah.
Or I guess I wouldn't believe that if I said it, but.
Cool. And is it like an Israeli restaurant?
Yes, they used to own like an Israeli farm-to-table restaurant.
Wow, that's awesome. So you grew up eating well.
Yes, spoiled, which goes into my thru-hiker persona.
Yeah.
I make almost all of my own food for backpacking.
So you absorb their culinary skills.
Not as good, but I would say I can make a good meal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call you spoiled because of that, though, because you did say you'll go for any hiker bar in the hiker box. Hiker bar?
Hiker bar?
What are they called?
Just bar.
Bars.
Yeah.
You'll take bars out of the hiker box.
Absolutely. I will take, except for like the sketchy random fluff that you don't know what it is.
Yeah, like the weird powder.
Mm-hmm. I won't take that.
Yeah.
But I have been known to sniff it and be like, should I take it?
Oh, not that kind of sniff. Okay.
Probably not.
Sniffing the random bag of powder.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I was going to make a joke about bars.
Yeah, good.
Old slang.
So, as someone who thru-hikes and has some culinary swag, what's your favorite on-trail meal to make?
Okay, so I started making my own food for the JMT because I wanted to do it zero waste, which was a shocking desire. Very hard to do.
Yeah.
I honestly don't recommend it in the scheme of things.
Huh.
A few plastic bags are okay.
Yeah. it's one of those things where you aim for the stars, you hit the moon. Like you're probably producing way less waste than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so because of it, I was like, well, all of these meals have so much trash, and so I got into dehydrating my own stuff, which is the easiest thing you can do. Everyone should make their own food to backpack. It's as long as you don't put olive oil in it or coconut milk or avocados, that's all you need to know.
Why can't you do those things?
Because they have fats. And so the fat and the water can't separate in the dehydration process, and then it'll mold.
Huh.
So after the fact, after it's cooked or rehydrated.
Yeah. So you can bring your olive oil packets and use it out in the woods. But
okay.
Fascinating.
So give us your favorite recipe.
So I call it orange. It's really fancy. But it's just kind of all of the orange / red / brown things in your fridge / pantry. So like chickpeas, carrots, peppers, tomatoes, red lentils, rice, any spice that's in that same color palette. Turmeric, yes. Red pepper flakes. Curry powder, absolutely.
Good ask me no spices.
Yeah, and you just cook it. And then the other thing with dehydrating your own food is you have to over-season it. And then eventually, like through the dehydration process, it kind of like zaps the flavor out. And so that's the over-seasoning. And then you dehydrate it for a few hours and check on it and make sure it's dry, and then put it in a bag, and it's good for forever.
You cook it before you dehydrate it.
Yeah, so it's like cook, dehydrate, cook on trail.
Ah.
1-2 punch.
Is it safe to assume that foods that are the same colors will taste good together? Is that like a rule that seems to work, or is it just with this meal?
So I would say don't use that as a basis for cooking. But in this meal, it works, and I also have a green meal that I also eat often on trail. But I look at recipes if you don't know what you're doing.
Fair.
Yeah, so what are the ingredients that you're using for your green meal?
So that one is also some sort of grain, so like rice or pasta, orzo, whatever, couscous. But then green lentils, broccoli, kale or spinach or both, green beans, artichoke you could do, just like all the green things.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of like if the food is the same color.
Yeah, no, I'm proving myself wrong.
Have you made any other color-themed meals? Just orange and green?
Just orange and green.
Yeah.
I make some curries. I have lots of chili. Chili with mashed potatoes is perfect.
Yeah. I feel like purple could have some potential. A little eggplant, purple potato maybe.
What else was purple?
Like a darker couscous.
Oh, like one of the red onions that also kind of looks purple?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could put blueberries in there.
There you go.
That would be your blue dish. That would be the blue dish.
Yeah. Okay. So are you tasting these meals before you actually go through the dehydrating process to make sure that you like it, it's edible?
At the beginning of doing it, yes. Or like, and sometimes I'll just, if you're making a vat of food, you might as well have a bowl for yourself while you're doing it. But once you get into the scheme of it, it's like,
yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
What percentage of your meals on trail are just straight dehydrated from before, and what percentage are taking a dehydrated meal and then adding fresh stuff to it?
Like, I don't know if I fully got that one.
Like, do you ever pack out like stuff that you've dehydrated, like the orange meal, but then you'll also bring like a fresh pepper to cut and put over it, or some shredded cheese, or?
Ish, but not like that much.
Okay, cool.
If I'm gonna pack out the fresh stuff, I'm normally gonna just eat it raw.
Mm-hmm. So is the fresh stuff mainly snacks for you rather than meals?
Yeah, definitely. It's the morale.
Mm.
Vegan or vegetarian?
Vegetarian.
Okay.
Ex-vegan, recovering vegan.
Recovering vegan. Are you consuming much dairy on trail?
I had a cheese blimp.
A cheese blimp?
Yeah, I got into them.
Yeah.
And then I always once I'm in town, it's just give me calories.
Sure.
And protein, and eggs are easy.
Totally.
I'm shocked that you got out of a cheese blimp. I think that once you get into cheese, you don't ever get out.
I go in waves with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a cheese obsessor, but I'll have it. And I'll be happy about it. I got really into those like Tillamook squares though. Oh. The Colby Jack ones.
Yeah.
My boys love those. Yeah.
So yummy.
Okay, so is JMT the first long distance trek?
Yes.
Okay. And this was inspired by the cross-country road trip with your brothers.
Yeah, the cross-country road trip kind of culminated in this one moment, which I guess led to a different culmination, but we were in Canyonlands and we hiked to Delicate Arch, and it was like a 15-mile hike, which at the time was like insane that we did. And my oldest brother Zeev was like, fuck that. I never want to go on a 15-mile hike again. That was terrible. And then me and my other brother, Geffen, looked at each other and were like, 15 miles? Like, hell yeah, dude. And then 15, we were like, I bet we could do 5 more. And then we were like, whoa, 20 miles. And then eventually we started training to hike a marathon, which, like, as a non-thru hiker, that was crazy, or really athletes. And so then we actually ended up hiking marathon in honor of our dad, who passed away a few years before, and we raised $40,000 for mental health, which was like this huge culmination of hiking. And then from that, I was like, whoa, hiking's amazing, and that led to the JMT, which then led to the CT and the PCT and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. We don't have to go down this road if you don't want, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Can we talk about your dad?
Yeah, absolutely.
What happened?
So he got diagnosed with depression in, I guess, right around Thanksgiving of 2017. And then about a week later committed suicide. It came out of like totally nowhere for us. But it's something I talk about all the time and think it's important, especially in this space, to bring up. It's like was so much of my entry point to thru hiking and being in the outdoors. But I also think it's pretty prevalent in the thru hiker world, like mental health and whatnot. So yeah.
Was it like a clear change in his behavior that you noticed? Like, was he trending toward depression, or was it like a specific acute event that pushed him in that direction?
I wasn't living with him at the time anymore. So I wasn't like super present to see how that played out. But he and my mom had sold their restaurant, and so I think that was a really big part of his like creative outlets. And so that, I think, was like a quiet factor. And then I also think he was Israeli and so long living in the US, maybe some people in my family think that, I don't know. I think mostly, more than anything though, just like being a man in your 40s and 50s, suicide and mental health issues and struggles are really, really common. Like, I think the stat is like 70% of successful suicides are men, and almost all of that is men in their 40s and 50s.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so advocating for people specifically in that group is just so important. And again, that's a large portion of people in this hiking outdoor world. And I think people come to thru hiking as this like space to find solace. And so like how can, and I don't know if this is like, I don't know what the answer is to this question, but like how can we perpetuate that like sense of safety and like peace past the trail is something I think about a lot.
Yeah. Did that event inspire your adventurous nature?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely made me feel like all of a sudden life is fleeting and precious. And so my life ever since then has been very, some people could say sendy, some people could say, you know, like ambitious, or you can use whatever word you like, but I try and seize the day and do as much as I can, just because there's so much life that we can live or we can't, and it's kind of like in our hands if we have the opportunity.
Yeah. Was your dad an adventurous guy?
Totally. Yeah. So he grew up on the northwest corner of Israel, right on the Mediterranean. He was a big surfer and windsurfer and whatnot. He was in this super special force unit in the Israeli army, which is contentious, and I fully hear that and I agree. But this is his story, I guess. So he was in the special forces unit that would like jump out of helicopters and save people and scuba dive to find random bodies and whatnot. So he was always canyoneering and climbing and all sorts of whatnot.
Have you found that backpacking, through hiking, or adventuring at large has been able to help you process it?
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hear that with like a lot of people, and I've heard that a lot on trail, where someone will come on trail with a goal to process something or figure something out or get clarity on something, and then they have so much fun hiking that by the time the end of the trail comes, it's like, damn, I didn't even think about that thing at all. You know, like I'm no closer to processing it than I was when I started. How do you take time to enjoy the hike and stay in the moment and enjoy the people and do all that stuff, but then also find time to think through the stuff that like is going on in the outside of the trail world?
Well, I think before I started through hiking, I like processed the heaviness of it already. And then a lot of the processing happened while my brother and I were raising all of this money, like fully in his honor and falling in love with hiking. And that, since that was both of us together, and the whole mission and purpose of everything we were doing at the time was to really move through and process all of that, that by the time I got to through hiking, which was like 4 or 5 years after, it was more of just a celebration and like an honoring and just kind of a beautiful, like I get to do this, and so much of this is because of him.
So did you do the JMT with your brother?
No, the JMT I did alone.
Okay.
So I've done so the JMT I did fully alone. I was in this really weird Sierra corridor where no one else was around me, which is so special and really hard to find if you've spent any time in Sierra. And then the Colorado Trail, I was so excited to completely not talk to anyone again and have my whole month alone. And within the first 5 minutes, I met this gal, Rhodey, who's one of my closest friends, and we hiked the entire thing kind of hip to hip. And then the PCT, I started with one of my good friends, Luna, and she decided to stop in Idlewild. And then I met all sorts of people and wasn't alone.
Yeah. So, a very common route for people into through hiking is to start either the AT, PCT, northbound, because they like the social blanket, security blanket of 50 plus other people doing it per day with them. Was it really intimidating going into the JMT? Because people don't think of California as being an isolated place, but the Sierra is very isolated. You don't have cell service out there, and you said that you weren't around many other hikers. Was that an intimidating experience for you with this being your first through hike?
Yes, before I started. I was terrified before I went out. But I knew I had to do it. I saw this poster while I was on the road trip with my brother in a gas station outside of Death Valley, and he must have been just taking the biggest shit. And so I was staring at this poster for at least 25 minutes. And by the end of his shit, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing next summer, when we finish this big marathon we're doing. And so it was just kind of I was fully committed to it, even though I was pretty terrified of being alone.
So you could attribute choosing to hike the JMT to your brother taking a long shit?
Absolutely, yes.
If anyone on the JMT was asking you why you were out there, were you telling them, well, one day my brother had to use the bathroom and
wish.
now I'm here?
I should have, because it's true.
That's funny.
That was a massive dump.
Massive dump that changed my life.
I'm also impressed at a poster. There's two elements to that story. That
Yeah.
It was a huge
in Death
poster.
Valley.
Yeah.
It was so big. It was if this room, so that wall, it was definitely the size of half of that wall.
Yeah.
That's just confusing because Death Valley has a national park. So You'd think
Right.
if they were to put up a big poster, it'd be like
They're trying
for
to get
their
people out of
stuff.
Death
Yeah,
Valley,
they're like,
like-
hey, can you go home? Leave?
Yeah.
Well, the gas station was, it was right outside of the park, technically.
Yeah.
So, it was near the Sierras-ish.
They're trying to
But-
sell you a lot of gas. So
Yeah.
that you go further.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It was a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
That I didn't.
Fell for.
Well, not really, though, because I didn't drive with that gas to
Ooh.
the JMT.
True.
It was different gas.
So we're more than 300 episodes into this podcast. We've heard books, movies, other hikers being the thing that inspired someone on trail. A dump plus a poster is a very unique combination. We haven't heard of either of those, so kudos.
Thank you. I tried my best to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
innovative.
I guess what was that first thru hike like? Being by yourself, again, your first solo backpacking experience. What was that experience like?
Just like awe and magic is kind of what it felt like. I think the Sierra, I've spent a lot of time in a lot of mountains, but the Sierra will always be my one true love. I think there's something so pristine about how remote it is, and so I took 17 days. I didn't go into town once. The resupplies that I did were all in the woods, so it was
Your ranch?
yeah, MTR, Reds Meadow, and VVR. And so even with my resupplies, I wasn't really back in society at all. And that was just the first, I guess even now, further on in my hiking journey, that's the longest stretch I've been fully in the woods. That was over 2 weeks.
Sorry, how are you doing these resupplies in a zero waste kind of way? That just seems naturally hard based on those spots.
It was hard, yeah. And just so expensive. If I were to do the John Muir Trail again, I would just hike into,
So you weren't mailing yourself boxes? of
No, so
dehydrated
I
food?
did mail myself boxes, but I had for months before the trail, I asked friends to save bags for me. So old granola bags or chia seeds or whatever. So all of my food was packed into those. And then I dehydrated all of my meals.
Did you ever get a bag of granola that smelled like beef jerky or something that was a bad
Yes.
mix? Yeah.
Yes, it was really unfortunate.
Does anything stand out? Is there one bag of mangoes that smelled like tobacco or something?
Well, there was this one meal I really remember. It had beets, which would be great for the purple meal that we're, cooking up. But I guess I didn't know as much as I do now about the fats, and so it went rancid. It was so gross, but I was so hungry, so I ate it anyways.
The beets went rancid, or the wrapper had something rancid on it?
Something that was on the beets. I must have put some sort of oil into whatever I was cooking, and it was disgusting.
Ah, so the beets were dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it was beets and other things. The beets are the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
But it was gross.
Ew. What do you do when that happens? Because you can't just bury your food on the JMT, or you gotta either carry it the rest of the way with you or stomach it.
I stomached it. It was a choice.
I guess
Maybe that's
what
where
else
the-
can you do?
Maybe
Right,
that's where
maybe.
the H. pylori came from.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
It's just sat dormant for
Years.
Yeah.
years.
Are there any fats that are safe to cook with for dehydrating meals? No.
No.
No fat whatsoever.
No.
How do you dehydrate meat then? Don't they have fat in them?
Typically, jerky is a leaner cut. So that makes sense now. I know
But it can't be fully lean. Surely there's got to be something.
not fat free, but it's always the leanest cut of meat. Yeah.
So you couldn't dehydrate bacon.
I don't think I've ever seen dehydrated bacon.
What are bacon
would-
bits?
Well, typically a bunch of chemicals. Seriously.
There.
Yeah, I'm clueless when it comes to dehydrating meat. I have no idea.
Okay, so magical experience. Were you bitten by the bug right away? Did you know I'm about
Yes.
to do the next trail?
Yeah, it was pretty instant, but the moment was on the top of Glen Pass, and I was felt like I was on cloud 9, the whole world was glowing and magical. And I was okay, well, Colorado Trail next summer. And then the CT is easy enough, like no permits needed or anything, so.
Was there a poster for the Colorado Trail on the JMT, or how'd you figure that one out?
I wish.
My other brother was taking a huge dump.
And there was a gas station in the middle of nowhere. No, I lived in Boulder at the time, and I was about to graduate from CU, and so it just felt like the perfect exit from that phase of life.
Yeah.
When you started the JMT, with that being your first hike, I imagine it might have been a little trickier than if it was someone starting the AT for things like getting their gear dialed
Very
in.
bad news. We're not recording.
Zach.
The whole time?
Yeah, there's no SD card in here, so it
Oh,
didn't.
Zach.
Jesus Christ.
Well.
Here, what we can do is we can pull the audio from this. It's gonna be bad, but we can just resume the conversation, so we don't have to start over.
I'm so glad we got this on video this time, because when it
God
happened
damn
with the Kuna, we didn't. This is not his first time. But with the
Damn.
Kuna, we finished the episode, and then we realized it, and we were like, do you want to do it again?
Did you do it again?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Wow. This is like my full life story.
Yeah, now you're all warmed up.
Yeah. Whew.
But that's fine. We'll have the audio from that. It'll be good.
Okay.
That's
And then
so
it'll
funny.
just get a lot better the second half.
Should we make him drink a beer? Should we make him shotgun a
It
beer?
seems like he
I think he's
deserves
gonna have
something.
to. Okay, you're right. I'll go get it for him.
Good job.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you can shotgun it. I think it's a bottle. But
Well, he can judge.
maybe we duct tape it to both of his hands. We're putting you into punishment.
Uh-oh.
You don't have any say in it.
Carrot Top, I am very sorry. That sucks tremendously. I will give you the option if you want to start the interview from the top again, pretend like none of that happened, or we can pull the audio from that. Like I said, it's going to be not ideal. Chance has more experience with the audio from this device than I do, so I don't know what it's going to sound like. But it's not going to be obviously nearly as good as this.
Right.
So, and I know you're on a time crunch as well.
Ish.
Yeah.
We still have an hour.
Yeah. Do you want to start from the top?
I think the audio from that'll be fine.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've got your punishment.
I'm going to need to operate a computer, so let's not make a bad situation worse by not having hands.
Fine, I'll give you a hand.
Okay.
Pick which one you want.
Keep the right hand.
Okay, give me your left. Close fingers.
Hold on a second. It's saying empty folder.
No SD card.
Literally just put it in.
Is that one that needs a micro SD in it?
No, I've never taken it out.
Is it
This
locked?
is a time where I could.
Here.
No, it's not locked.
You want me to do something with my hand?
That's the lock.
And then maybe let's try unlocking it again.
Card protected.
Yeah, let's try unlocking it again. Maybe it'll reset.
Huh. It's weird. It's working now. I don't know what happened last time.
All right. Well, we're gonna give you a hand free, so you're not gonna do Zach 40 hands.
Yeah.
But when you're done with that one, we're gonna give you a wizard staff. So let me know when you're ready for me to take that next one. And I'm also gonna take a social clip because we have to.
Yep.
So
Obviously.
hello and welcome to Backpacker Radio. Here is today's guest. Hi, Carrot Top. And today Zach had to give some bad news, which is
we weren't recording.
so
Forgot the SD card.
what's your punishment?
I have beer taped to my hand.
And what happens when you finish the beer?
I have another beer.
That we will also tape to your hand.
Yep.
Great. So yeah, that's our update. Chaos. I'll send that to Jess.
Okay, we're back. The audio is better this time. Shame on me for not watching the count up. Yeah, audio is better. My apologies. That sucks.
It's all good.
Okay, so JMT, you decided that you're going to do the CT because obviously in your backyard going to school here. So what was the turnaround time from the first trail to the next?
1 summer. Yeah. So it was like 2022 JMT or 2021 JMT, 2022 CT, 2023 PCT, 2024/5 Camino.
Yeah. And you mentioned, obviously, first trail was solo, and then second trail, very social, very quickly.
Yeah. And I would say the same about the PCT.
Okay.
It's impossible to be alone there.
Yeah. How was that? Were you going into the CT hoping that it'd be another solo experience?
Yeah, I loved the solitude of the John Muir Trail so much. It's not in my nature at all. I'm such a social butterfly. And so the JMT was such a kind of reality check of like, oh, I have to talk to myself all day. But it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I felt like I became my own best friend, which was just such a like nourishing, wonderful feeling. And then the Colorado Trail, I was like, amazing. I get to do it again. I'm going to hang out with myself, talk to myself all day. I'm the best company ever. And literally 5 minutes in, roadie came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I feel like based on your experiences with your brothers, that you're probably a very patient and level-headed person. With this many trails, I think for most people hiking with other people, it would be impossible to not at least butt heads once or twice. Have you butt heads with anyone on trail in any of these years? Or is this just an extension of like the Zen fam?
Roadie and I / Colorado Trail folks, no butts. No heads and butts collided. But on the PCT, I would say so from mile 150 to mile 2600, I spent most of the time with my lovely lady damsel. She is in distress, and we were collectively a little bit in distress together. There were some noggins.
I was thinking
Nogged.
damsel like damsel flies, like the dragonflies, but smaller. But
No, she's in distress. Yeah.
Why were you guys in distress for that long?
She's just in distress a little bit as a person, and we just spent so much time together. It was a little bit like sisters that sometimes I wanted to pull her hair out a little bit, but I love her, and she wanted to pull mine.
Sure.
We didn't, though.
Yeah.
Kind of wish we did.
The fact that you didn't fight with your brothers, do you recall the first time you had conflict with a peer of any kind?
Ooh, yeah. What was your first conflict?
I feel like in end of elementary school / early middle school, I had a short phase of being a little bit of a mean girl. Happens to the best of us.
I mean, hormones, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's a mean girl at some point in their
Yeah.
lives.
So I would say it probably was in there. There's this one of my good friends, Tatum. She is actually getting married soon. I'm really excited to stand by her side. But there was this moment in 5th grade where we got put in a math project together, and I said straight to her face, you know, we're just in a project together. I'm not trying to be your friend. And she holds it over my head.
That's hilarious. And now you're standing up at her wedding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Playing hard to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remembered what I was asking when we realized our hiccup, which is this is something that less people probably struggle with starting with a trail like the AT, but starting with a trail like the JMT where you have to bring like a Vaer vault and that sort of stuff. What was it like getting your gear dialed in?
Oh my gosh, I became a spreadsheet person.
Were you not previously a spreadsheet person?
Not previously a spreadsheet person and not currently a spreadsheet person, but the few months leading up to the JMT, I became a spreadsheet person.
Did you get your pack pretty dialed in?
No, so for the JMT, so I'm pretty stubborn in that I will never weigh my pack. I don't know how much it weighs, and I never will. Ignorance is bliss in that standpoint. But for the JMT, I was pretty broke in college and was like, I'm not going to upgrade almost any of my gear. So I was taking like a 70-liter Osprey pack with me. I had a nice sleeping bag, but it was heavy. And I was really warm, but it was heavy. And everything was kind of ridiculous. And so after the JMT, my feet hurt for like 2 or 3 months. And then I was like, damn it, like I've committed to doing the Colorado Trail next year. And like, obviously I'm addicted to this already. So then I started upgrading my gear.
Yeah. Not to sidetrack us, but which is worse, your feet hurting for 2 or 3 months or your tummy hurting for 2 or 3 months?
The tummy hurting is way more expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the tummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have foot pain than tummy pain. My tummy hurts right now.
Yeah.
Aw.
Foot pain's not
It
fun
always
either.
hurts.
Your
I
foot-
eat foods I shouldn't.
Mm.
I had a poke bowl today, and I try to avoid sesame because it upsets the tummy. And poke bowl is like, there's no way there's no sesame oil in that.
Huh.
So,
That's a bummer.
no, I do it to myself. It's
Your
self-inflicted.
tummy always hurts?
Most of the time.
You should do a stool sample test. They're expensive, but informative.
Can you do it at home? Like, if I pooped in a bag in the bathroom, could we, like, mail it in?
Yeah,
how it works,
that's
right?
what I did.
Wow.
It wasn't in a baggie, but like a metaphorical baggie.
Yeah. What was it in?
They sent me this bizarre package of like a tray that you would see at a sporting event with like a hot dog in it. They wanted you to poop in that. And then there's like this vial that has a spork on it. And then you scoop your sporked poop into the vial.
So you're not even sitting on a toilet to do this. You are like a cat shitting in a litter box over your tray.
That honestly would have been better. I was sitting over a toilet and then it was like challenging.
You had to scoop it out of the toilet and dump
Well,
it
no,
into
I
your
scooped
tray?
it out of I was just holding the hot dog tray under myself as I was on the toilet. And
I've had to do it too, by the way. Yeah,
Really? You've done it too?
Yeah.
Does everyone do this and I haven't?
No, it wasn't for like, this is the foods I should be eating. I got, what's the common,
Neurovirus?
not norovirus.
Giardia?
Giardia. I got Giardia after
They
the
make you
AT.
shit in a bag for Giardia?
Well, I went to an infectious disease specialist and they have to like diagnose what you have. So
Oh, shit.
that's how they do it.
Huh.
Literally.
Yeah, that is shit.
How big is the vial that you've got to spork your poo into?
About, so like smaller than a can of bubbly.
As
like in
wide?
height? No. Like a quarter width of the bubbly container.
And then you have to like stir it up in a solution.
I shook it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not putting like your
Extensively.
log into a vial. You're literally forking off a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Sporking off. but
Sporking
yeah.
off a piece of cake. That is something.
Did they have you select poop from different parts of the log?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. What did you learn about your poop while playing with it with a spork?
Well, I don't feel like the sporked poop is the same as my typical poop. But presently it's softer than normal.
Yeah.
Huh.
Related, do you make any brown meals?
No.
Yeah.
I should, though.
Yeah, chili sounds quite yummy right now.
After that, chili sounds
That
yummy.
was a joke.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Zach loves to eat poo.
Oh, it's my favorite. Can't stop.
Fun. Do you notice with the stuff you dehydrate that anything stays in the poo when it comes out as opposed to other things? For example, corn always stays corn.
Yes. Corn's the only one I notice.
Interesting. Okay. Do you believe that it's the whole kernel or do you believe that it's just like the outer shell?
It's just the outer shell. Our body can't decompose the outside of it, but the inside we can process.
Chance is on this kick that it's the full corn kernel.
Well, I just don't understand how it looks so much like a full corn kernel. But there was a conspiracy, which is like, how is it that we chew the corn when it's in our mouths, but then it comes out whole again?
Well, that's the answer. You just answered it. Like
It's the shell.
It has to, yeah. And then it's just been like inflated with other
Well,
things.
that's what Zach told me. He said it was the shell, and I just wanted to confirm with a garden expert.
Educator.
am.
Yeah.
Educator. Yeah.
Same thing,
Yeah.
right? Because you're an expert in things to educate on them.
I guess so.
Yeah.
See?
Okay, so CT hiking it with the pal. Was there any part of you that was frustrated by that? Like you wanted more space to process things, or was it just like immediately fun and good the entire time?
It was immediately perfection.
Yeah.
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 She's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of games did you guys play to stay entertained on trail?
Great question. We do this one. It's called Contact, I think. You go like 1, 2, 3, butter, and you say something else. Like we could play right now. It's
Okay.
like,
I can
so
say
you
anything?
say a random word, and then we're just trying to get to the same word.
Oh, okay.
It's fun.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, eggs. 1, 2, 3,
Chicken.
scrambled. 1, 2, 3,
Frying
food.
pan.
1, 2, 3, spring
Breakfast.
roll. 1, 2, 3, fried
Chinese
rice.
food.
1, 2, 3,
Sesame
Asia.
chicken.
So like try and merge them.
I'm coming to you every time. Where'd you get Asia from?
I don't know. We said we were doing Asian food.
Okay, cool.
But I get the point. We would do it for hours.
That's fun. Yeah, that would
If you
take
get the
me
word right
hours.
away, then you're not even.
We got to
passing
play
the
that
time.
on our next one.
Sure. Yeah.
It kills.
I
a
feel
lot
like that
of
would be a
time.
game that would frustrate me though. Like I'd be like, "Come on, come closer to my word."
The more you play it with one person, the better you get.
Oh yeah, because you could start to like.
You read
each
their
other's
minds. Yeah.
What was the trail name of the person you hiked the CT with?
Roadie.
Roadie. If I put you guys in a room right now, how many turns would it take for you to get to the same word?
Now maybe like 8 on the trail, maybe like 4.
Did you guys ever start on the same word?
No, but I have seen that happen with a tree. It was crazy.
Whoa.
What's your go-to starting words?
I don't think I have a go-to one. I really try and pull from all over.
Any other games?
That's the main one. But I definitely, I've done this many a time where I'll just start asking people about their life and who they are. And there was one time with Damsel, my friend who I hiked with on the PCT, where we kind of acknowledged at this point that we were going to hike the rest of the trail or most of the trail together. And so we kind of looked at each other and were like, well, shit, I guess we should know about each other. And then for the next 3 hours, one of us told each other our from birth to now story.
That's fun. I feel like you get to know people so much faster on trail because of that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Were you ever in a group or was it just the partnership?
We were in a group, so there was the 2 of us and then our friend Spaceman and then Smiles and Glamazon and a few other people coming in and out also.
Yeah. Hiking through Salida, did you get that good warm feeling I need to revisit this place?
Yeah. So the CT was the first time I went to Salida, and kind of instantly I was like, okay, I'm going to live here. And here I am.
What is it about the town that you like?
There was this moment I was by the river, and there were all of these kids just kind of running around and playing by themselves, and there were no parents anywhere, and it was just so pure and cute and felt like the kind of community I wanted to be a part of.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then I just said it a few times too many, and I made it happen, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you take advantage of the river life there? I feel like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, the river is huge.
Yeah.
Last summer, I definitely got way more into river adventures. Hopefully soon I'll buy myself a pack raft and turn it into a little bit more. But for now, just using friends' boats and whatnot.
Nice.
I don't want to speed through the CT, but I do want to get to Camino
Right.
here. So,
The gold.
that is the gold. Let's talk about the PCT. Were you on the CT when you knew you wanted to do the PCT, or was there...
Yeah, so I did the PCT. My friend who I started with wanted to do it, and she didn't want to do it alone, so she called me and was like, "Hey, do the PCT with me," and that was before I started the CT. She lasted on trail a mile to Idlewild, which is 150 miles.
Was it injury or just not a fit or what?
The biggest thing was that her shoes were too small. And then her started messing with all sorts of different stuff. But I guess also partially it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
What was it like to have someone you started with get off trail with so much left to go when you haven't done a trail of that length before?
I think by that point I wasn't too intimidated by the length. It was just in love with walking and through hiking, that it didn't matter that it was months longer.
You mentioned that it was a big snow year. Was there any apprehension towards shit, I just lost my hiking partner and I'm going into the Sierra soon?
Yeah, so right when she left was right before San Jacinto, which on a normal year is no big deal, but my year was super socked in and pretty dangerous. So like everyone had ice axes with them, micros, and no one was hiking alone through it. So that's when I met up with Damsel and Spaceman and Glamazon and Smiles, and we all started hiking that together because none of us wanted to be alone.
Those are all the names from the CT.
That's the whole PCT squad.
Oh, okay. That wasn't
Yeah.
the CT squad.
Mm-mm.
Got it. I was like, what? They all happened to be out there? That's
No,
wild.
that would be insane.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And you tell me about the snow, because you mentioned that in your thing you did with Jess, that was like one of the scariest parts of it for you.
Yeah. So the snow was just intimidating, and I also just don't like being cold.
Same.
I hate it. It's just not fun. And like wet feet, always cold wet feet. I love a Sufferfest, but that's not the flavor I'm into.
Yeah, that's not the Sufferfest I want to show up to.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever consider getting off trail?
No. But so what I did do was flip, which is what almost everyone did that year. So I hiked to KMS, to Kennedy Meadows, and then went up north to Chester, which it was still insanely snowy there. And that's when I had my super scary, sketchy moment falling off of a mountain.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, you can't yada that.
I can't remember the exact name of where it was, but it was a little bit north of Bernie. It's a ridge, a trail, and a road, and they all intertwine a bunch, and they were all just giant snowfields that hadn't been maintained for what looked like years. And so we're on and by we, I mean like this whole group of us are on this ridge, and then somehow some people get onto the road, which is below, and they're like, come on, Carrot Top, like, let's go. And like a few other people who were up there also. And so some people start glissading down the side of this mountain, and I do too, but then I was like speeding up way faster than everyone else, and somehow I like was on my stomach. Like, this part's kind of a blur. I was on my stomach, and I look up and reached my hand up, and then my friend just like grabbed me. But I was like really close to getting into some pretty bad tree wells and probably would have broken my legs.
They grabbed you where?
They grabbed the back of my backpack. So like,
I thought you were going to say your hair based on where
did
you were
say
reaching.
your hair earlier?
no, that was the backpack. It's like,
I thought you said they grabbed your hair earlier.
no.
Okay.
I think the backpack was grabbed and maybe the hand was, but it was definitely the backpack, and the gaze was insane.
Yeah.
It was like, could have been in a movie, definitely.
Oh, shit.
Lots of people were around, and it was like a silent, like,
Any pants pooping from that scenario?
No pants pooping there.
That's good.
Yeah, luckily no pants pooping on the PCT at large.
Nice.
So.
Were you happily glissading after that, or did it put a little fear in you?
No, I was terrified.
Yeah.
Fully terrified. And since we like all skipped the Sierra, we got rid of our ice axes. Half of the people didn't have micros anymore. We thought we were all out of the snow sketch, but we were not.
Yeah, was there any trail beta for like skipping ahead, and were there people charting the path for you?
Ish, but I was kind of in the thick of it. So, and everything was melting so fast. So like when I got to Chester, the comments were awful about like on Far Out saying how everything was, and then we got there and it was completely fine. And so it was like you couldn't really trust anything because every day it was all changing so much.
Yeah.
And then the fear mongering on everywhere was insane.
Yeah.
So it almost felt like you shouldn't look, even though you also totally should.
Yeah.
Because it's scary.
I was going to say, the fear mongering always, or not always, but often tends to be beyond what the actual reality is. But then we hear a story like yours about a near broken leg experience, and sometimes the fear is accurate.
Yeah. So my friend Damsel also on San Jacinto had this. It was like the first bit of snow on the whole trail. The timing was absurd. But she decided to take the higher route on this one snow section, and it was a pretty steep side of a mountain. And she stepped on a rock that fell beneath her, and she had a leash on her ice axe, and so her arm stayed on the ice axe. Somehow it didn't like dislocate her shoulder and then stuck in behind her, and she like almost completely fell down the mountain. And that was like the first 5 minutes of snow.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, on the PCT in 2023. So the whole group was like kind of worried and scared the whole time because of that one moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. I slipped on, what was the ridge?
Fuller Ridge.
Fuller Ridge. I slipped on Fuller Ridge and stopped myself by like kicking my leg out at a tree. And after that, I was like, okay, I didn't know to be afraid of this, but now I know nothing but to be afraid of this. Yeah. Which in a way I kick myself for too, because I'm like, I liked it better when I didn't know to be afraid.
I know. If that moment with Damsel didn't happen, I probably would have gone through the Sierra.
Yeah.
But I saw her almost fall off a mountain, so.
Yeah, no, that's a justified reason.
Yeah,
to
so
do
I
that.
didn't.
Yeah.
Which
no,
then,
the same way.
Which then was like actually incredible in so many ways, because that meant I got to kind of end my hike in the Sierras, which was so, like, it felt like coming back home to where I like started, and it was a good full circle moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess compare the experience of coming through the Sierra again on the PCT versus the JMT.
So the way I kind of felt, like the best way I could describe it while I was doing it was, so both times I was going southbound, since when I flipped back south, I was going from Yosemite back to Kennedy Meadows. It felt like I was reading my favorite book, but the plot, like, and like I knew the story, but it like meant something different. And so it was like, I remembered each like turn around the mountains, something about the Sierras, I feel like gives me this like photogenic, is that the word? Photogenic memory or photographic memory?
Yeah, that's the one.
I've never felt it any other time in my life except there, but there it's like I can perfectly pin down every single moment and remember it to a T. And so being able to then share it with all these people who had never been in this corridor and hadn't had these moments, but then who I had like been sharing and hiking with for so long was like really, really special.
Interesting.
So, okay. 3, I'd say traditional trails, JMT, Colorado Trail, PCT. Where does Camino de Costa Rica come into play?
Yeah, so in maybe September, I met this wonderful guy, Chris. He lives in Salida. He owns this trash company, and he is moving to Costa Rica in June. I'm happy for him. He's excited. And he's starting a tiny little farm, and so he met me super randomly and was like, you're a farmer. I have a farm. I don't know about farming. You do. Come and join me and help me build out my vegetable production on my farm. And it was kind of too good to be true, so I said yes.
So he was moving to Costa Rica to start a farm without knowing anything about farming?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
He also sounds like an adventurous fellow.
Yeah, he's totally adventurous. He was in the Marines and has been all over and has, for the last 10 years, been in and out of Costa Rica a lot. So he welcomed me into his Costa Rica life and brought me down there. And for the first month I was there, I was building him a greenhouse and starting him some veggies, doing all sorts of stuff on his land. And then I was going to stay longer working for him, but it just kind of made sense for both of us for me to travel a little bit outside of hiking. I'm also a big traveler. I love, not working.
Yeah.
And exploring.
Sure.
So it was kind of just made sense for me to all of a sudden have 3 weeks of exploration time in Costa Rica. And I knew about the Camino. I guess I found it before I went, just through like looking at Far Out. And I thought about asking him if I could do it before I went, but then it felt like I was taking advantage of him, and I didn't want to do that because he's like bringing me to Costa Rica, and I'm doing, I was supposed to be there to help him. And so I didn't want to feel like I was crossing any lines, but then it just kind of fell into my lap, and all of a sudden it was like 6 days before I had time off from work, and I was doing all of this Googling, and I was like, there was like a night I stayed up until like 2 or 3 in the morning, like just full rose-colored glasses, big eyes, excited. And I realized it's almost impossible, to organize how to do this trail by yourself. And so I reached out to every single guide company who takes people on the Camino and said, hey, I want to do this alone. I want to start in 6 days. Can you give me any contact information of how do I do this? Because the trail is this huge sustainable development project as a way to bring economic development in a sustainable way to these super rural areas in Costa Rica. Costa Rica obviously is a huge travel destination, so basically that impacts the inflation in the country, and it's now super expensive. A lot of things are more expensive than in the U.S. in Costa Rica, but a lot of people who live there and who have lived there their whole lives can't afford to live. And it's less so on the coasts, but inland in the country, it's pretty catastrophic, the wealth disparities. So the point of the trail is to kind of help bring Westerners to other parts of the country so that we can foster economic growth and help these communities grow and thrive and be a part of tourism in a positive way.
So you're an evangelist right now.
I think it's as someone who studied environmental studies and took lots of classes on sustainable economic development, I feel like this is to a T, it's just an amazing project.
Yeah. So why do they require guides? Or is it a requirement or a
No,
strong
so
suggestion?
It's not required, but because it's part of the whole development and in terms of the economy. It's it'll help foster growth. Mm-hmm. And it's safer. Some people say it's really not safe for people to go alone, definitely not women to go alone. I didn't feel that way at all, but that's part of it. And then the target audience, I think, at least so far, is different than someone who does the PCT. Oftentimes it's the more the kind of person who would go on the Camino de Santiago, or just someone who loves hiking and loves to travel, and this is their most rugged experience they've ever had.
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's, I think, 174 miles, so it's not that long.
And that's the length of the country?
Yeah, in one part. So it starts in a tiny town called Parismina, and it ends in Capos. So I went from the Caribbean to the Pacific. And yeah, it just kind of feels good, because I think, especially as a traveler, so much of it is this moral question of am I doing something terrible here? Is me just being here awful? Versus that is everyone involved in the project wants to be a part of this economic growth, and we are the direct result and solution to so many of these problems.
What's the mileage and elevation gain per day?
The mileage was really little. So I ended up working with this guy, David, who works at the foundation Mar, which created the trail. And so before I went on the trail, I met with him. He was after messaging all of these organizations, one of them was you got to talk to this guy, David. And so I actually paid him $50, and we had a Zoom for 2 hours or something, and he walked me through everything I needed to know and how to organize the whole trail and how to do it myself. Because the complications of the trail is that you have to know where you're sleeping ahead of time, and you're not camping. So you're staying in these host families' houses, and a lot of them don't live anywhere close to a grocery store. So they have to prepare at least a week ahead of time for you to come, because they need to make sure that they have food for you. So he gave me all of these contacts of people, and so you coordinate with them, and half of the time they're busy that day. And I was also doing it during Christmas and New Year's, so a lot of them didn't want to host people, or it was all booked because it's high tourist season. So it's the mileage and the elevation is entirely related to where you can sleep and where there's place to sleep. So my biggest day was 18 miles, but I had multiple days that were 8.
Is that more fun because then you get to like experience the towns that you're going through more rather than just sleep and leave?
I don't know if fun is the right word. It was more than anything, it was just so different. Like I hiked from 7 to like between 12:30 and 3:30. And then I would like get to my host family's house and shower and do my laundry and journal. And just kind of like, I would talk to them, which was also like an interesting struggle and challenge and lesson.
Do you speak Spanish?
I don't speak Spanish. I'm learning. I'm not good at all. I'm really not, it's not a strength of mine at all. But most of the hosts don't speak almost any English. And so that's like a really fun challenge of just meeting all of these super random people. The biggest thing is the trail is so new and it's really rare for people to do it alone. But everyone who I met said, you're the youngest person I've ever seen doing this, and you're like the youngest female I've ever seen doing this. So everyone was like shocked by me being there.
Yeah. So are you paying the host families?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're paying the host families and you eat breakfast and dinner at their homes.
Okay. And how much is it per stay?
So it's like 25,000 colones normally, which is like 45, 46, 47, something like that.
Okay. Not
Like
cheap.
$50-ish.
Yeah, it's not cheap. But then you think about it and it's like, okay. But then it's like your house and 2 meals.
Yeah. And like the point of the trail is economic development. So
Right.
justified. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
somebody listening to this.
Right. It's not.
But maybe like is the meals big enough? Are the meals big enough where you don't need to make a full lunch in between and you could just snack in between? Like, can you eat a big breakfast, hike, and then get there like just afternoon, like you said?
Some days, yes. And
dinner?
some days I was really hungry. But they have this amazing thing in Costa Rica. Someone listening should hear this and start doing it in the U.S. They have refried beans in like squeeze packets, like the squeezable Jiffies that closes, but refried beans.
It's a good idea. We packed out the refried bean cans on the PCT a lot.
That's so heavy.
I know, but you can make great tacos.
Rather
I
have a
respect
squeezy.
that.
Yeah.
You make a ready rice. You have tortillas. You spoon out some of the refried beans, and then there's also like the equal sized cans of like cheese dip.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little of that on there.
Mm-hmm.
Add some chips.
Would you use the whole can in one day?
No. We would usually like use it over like a day or 2 or 3, or one of us would pack the refried beans and one of us would pack the cheese, and then multiple people would use it, so it would all get used up.
Do you ever think about just like dumping out a can of beans into a Ziploc bag?
Never has once occurred to me.
Okay.
That sounds like it would make so much more sense.
It does. Thanks.
That's why I
Welcome
make the
to a
big
new
bucks.
world.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I will.
Sometimes I've got the
I'll take
Ziploc
that to the
ideas,
committee.
and sometimes I remember to push the button correctly.
Yeah.
I pushed the button correctly. There just wasn't.
How's your beer going?
My hand is very cold. It's about to go numb. It's so cold.
Is it almost done?
No.
Well, maybe you have the solution right there.
We'll figure it out. Okay, so $45. How is the food?
It depends on the place.
Yeah.
Some amazing. There is this one woman, Rita's Kitchen. Amazing. Wow. I've been thinking about her. She made this like lentil thing. Fantastic. And then others really not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Are people generally friendly? Like,
Yeah, everyone was so kind. I even had someone stop and give me a Snickers. They didn't even know that thru-hikers love Snickers. Probably didn't know what thru-hikers were.
Yeah.
How, with you having to pre-plan where you're staying so far in advance so that they can go get the food and have things ready, how are you communicating to them that you're a vegetarian?
So that was in my intro text and reminder text with every single person. And it's not only I'm a vegetarian, but it's I'm a vegetarian, I eat eggs and cheese, I don't eat fish. Because I think there's a lack of understanding between the difference between vegan and vegetarian. And so it's like put it all out on the table and be really clear about it.
Yeah.
What else did you include in an intro text and a reminder text?
Hi, my name is blah. I'm hiking the Camino de Costa Rica. I heard about you from David Rodriguez, who's the guy from the association who I was working with. I'm going to be here on this day. I would love to stay at your place. How much is your accommodation? What is your accommodation like? I'm vegetarian. I eat eggs and cheese. I don't eat fish.
Are you putting that into Google Translate and having it spit back it in Spanish?
So I would normally send it in English, and sometimes they would respond in Spanish. Like, it kind of was a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
And then I would, like, save the contact name as, like, the date and the name of the place I was staying. It was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I had lots of notes docs of, like, this day, going to this, to da-da-da-da-da-da.
Did you have reception from town to town, like, between places? Did you have reception to be able to text them and be like, hey, I'm expecting to arrive at noon? Or was it only on occasion every few days you'd have reception?
There was way more service than I anticipated. I kind of thought it was going to be you're in the woods. But there's, like, people have Starlink in the middle of nowhere now.
Wow. Are there multiple host family options per town, or is it like one designated spot per area?
It depends. Some of them have one and some of them have two.
Okay.
And it just is what it is.
Yeah. And this is intel you're gathering from your conversation with David, or you can find this all on the website?
So not on the website. It's all I got from David, but it is actually all on Far Out. So if I had given myself more time to plan it, you could do it without talking to David. But I gave myself like 5 days.
Yeah, that's fun.
So I paid the $50 to David.
Do you have any estimate as to how many people have completed this?
I know David has worked with 200 people.
Wow.
So 200 solo people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like total.
Yeah.
We should reach out to David.
Yeah, sounds like the guy.
Sounds like the right length, too.
Totally.
Definitely. You should. I can connect you.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of tour groups that are probably 6 to 12 people that go pretty frequently.
How do the homes handle that?
They have it set up. And they're like in conversation with the organization and with the guide agencies. And so if they know that the guides, like the guide limit for group is 15, then they'll figure out how to have 15 people at their home.
Oh, wow.
How often are you getting access to a grocery store or something to resupply?
So it depends. Each day is honestly just so different and the trail itself is just roads connecting to other roads. And normally dirt roads, but sometimes it's paved. And so sometimes you're hiking and there's a tiny convenience store and sometimes there's not. And sometimes there's many and sometimes there's no for 3 days. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And you can see it all. It's marked pretty well on Far Out. David, again, did like an amazing job of making the Far Out page and making it pretty resourceful. And then I also tried to add a lot more comments to it and whatnot. The biggest thing that's hard with the Far Out comments is water. I ended up packing water for the whole day, every day, except for the one day that I received said bellyache.
Yeah. Isn't Costa Rica like basically a rainforest? Like,
yeah,
I imagine that there is water available.
Yeah,
most of the trail.
There's a lot of water almost every day, but it's like behind fences that you can't get to, or you're like on a bridge and the river is running really far below, and I just didn't know how to get to it, or like didn't want to go into someone's property because maybe they didn't want me there, and I just didn't know.
Yeah. So you mentioned doing this around the holiday season. What's the weather like?
So normally when I would do it, it should be fantastic weather. But for me, it wasn't. The first 9 days, I did not see the sun. And I love the sun. So it was hard, just how gray it was and how it's like the combo of gray and rain and like everything's just kind of like gross and soggy. Yeah, it was just kind of like everything was always wet. I had basically no gear with me except like I brought multiple outfits, which is so weird. as a hiker, but I was warned that I should because nothing dries.
Ah.
And so I'm putting on like dripping wet bike shorts in the morning. And it's so humid that like I live by my baggies, but for some weird reason was like, I'll bring bike shorts on this. And I wore my baggies once.
Wow.
And
I would
it
think
was just
baggies would
awful.
be more comfortable in humidity than bike shorts.
They just like, because it was so wet, it was just like, they kept on riding up and it was like so wet.
Yeah.
So would you recommend someone doing it bring multiple pairs of
Yes.
clothes, and how many pairs?
I had 3 and 3 felt good and I was still wearing wet clothes.
How many pairs of socks did you bring? Also 3?
3 socks. I wore the same shirt every day though.
Was it hot?
Yes.
Okay.
Like 90 degrees with 100% humidity and oftentimes a lot of rain. So like umbrella, but you're drenched anyways. But like the umbrella is good for the morale.
Yeah, because surely probably too hot for a raincoat.
Yeah, you can't wear a rain jacket.
Are you wearing the carrot hat?
I actually didn't bring it to Costa Rica, which felt so wrong. I was so sad about it.
Yeah. So give me some of the like landscape highlights of the trail.
I mean, it's stunning. I think one of the most amazing parts about it is the birds. I'm not a birder typically, but on an average day, you're seeing like 1,000 birds.
Oh, wow.
And like different varieties, and they all are just so striking. It makes me want to be like a high fashion superstar or something, just like looking at birds, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah, weird thing to hear.
But like every single bird should be on Fashion Week.
I can see that.
They're stunning.
Yeah.
And like the colors are just like unlike anything you've ever seen. So the birds are really incredible. But then also I would just say the biodiversity is, I think, to go from Colorado, which is so empty in terms of plants and life. Not that like we don't get lots of wildflowers and whatnot, but I guess a lot of my hiking is like above tree line in the mountains. And so to go from that contrast to, it feels like Costa Rica is like, there's not even enough space for all of the life that's there. And so to go from one to the other was like eye-opening, and just like you can't even like fathom how many species are around you.
Yeah.
What other animals stood out?
I saw lots of toucans.
Ooh.
Which are so cool, and they always are together. They're like lifelong partners.
Toucans.
Exactly.
That's really cute.
And they're just so pretty. Again, I've never been obsessed with birds until this trail, but I gotta get a binocular.
Any non-bird wildlife?
I saw sloth.
Oh yeah.
In the wild.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
The first day of the trail, there's this really awesome permaculture farm. This guy named Jerry owns it, and he's got lots of animals around, like naturally. But there were some sloths on his land, which was super cool. And I didn't see one, but there are jaguars all around.
Shut
Whoa.
up.
They don't eat humans.
What do you mean?
The ones that get eaten don't live to tell about it.
Yeah, there's no way that jaguars don't eat
They
humans.
don't eat humans. So to get to the start of the trail is also just a whole adventure in itself. It's like many different buses and whatnot, especially from where I was traveling in like northwestern Costa Rica all the way down to like southeastern Costa Rica. So it was like 4 or 5 buses to get to where the trail began. And on one of the buses, there was this guy, Pana, I don't know. And he is a ranger in Tortuguera National Park. We were sitting next to each other for an hour. And he, for the last almost 3 months now, has been sending me photos and videos from this national park of jaguars eating turtles.
I want to see these videos.
I can share them.
Does he mean that like jaguars don't eat humans in terms of like they won't actually chew, swallow, eat you, but they'll still very much kill you? Or
No.
does he mean that like you come in cross in encounters with a jaguar wall hiking and it's not doing what a mountain lion does. It's not like...
It's not going to do what a mountain lion does. They're terrified of us, and they're going to stay away.
Wow.
Which does remind me of a different animal I saw on the trail, which was pretty spooky. A fleur-de-lance, if you know what that is.
I've heard of Tour de France.
I've heard of fleur-de-lance, but I thought that was like a piece of architecture.
It's the most dangerous snake in South America.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, fleur-de-lis is the symbol.
De-lis?
No, fleur-de-lis is that architectural symbol.
Yeah. Fleur-de-lance.
Lance.
They're
Costa Rica.
incredibly aggressive.
Fleur-de-lance.
What did I say?
Fleur.
Oh, fur.
Yeah. F-E-R.
Fleur-de-lance. I saw one the same day I drank the water.
You saw one?
Yeah, it was, if I'm here, the snake was where that tape is. It was really close. And it was like plopped in the middle of the trail, and it was like this thick. And so this day I was hiking through this indigenous territory, the Nairi-Awairi. And it's one of few indigenous territories that are still fully undeveloped in Costa Rica. And so per the country law, you have to pay a guide to hike with you those days. And thank goodness he was there, because I would not have seen this snake. It camouflaged very well, and they're known to actively...
So they're aggressive.
They're incredibly aggressive.
Ooh.
And their venom is so strong that over 80% of people who get bit by one just die instantly.
Wow.
Instantly. Holy
Instantly.
shit.
So we had to scooch around all sorts of trees on the side of this mountain and whatnot.
Was that the only one that you saw?
That was the only one I saw. Yeah.
Was that the only one that saw you?
I hope so.
How do they teach you to identify these? Because looking at this photo of 12 of them, they all just look like your standard snake.
I think.
How do you know?
I don't know. I probably wouldn't have known without the guide being right there saying, "Stop, that's a scary snake." And it was one of those moments where he didn't speak English the whole day. I was struggling in my Spanish, but it was working. And then he was like, "Snake, stop. Dangerous."
Suddenly he knew English.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I hear you.
Interesting. Yeah, these are, all snakes are scary snakes, but these ones I think are scary because they just look like a standard snake. I guess they've got the triangle head.
I'm trying to find some death stats, but...
Ooh, they have red eyes. I don't like that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's a scary...
That's certified nightmare material.
If that looks at you,
spooky.
Then yeah, I would expect to die just from looking at it.
Any monkeys?
So many monkeys.
Yeah.
Oh.
The beginning of the trail is also on a river, and so you actually are on a boat. And along the boat, I guess I only saw a handful of spider monkeys and howlers there, but you could hear thousands of monkeys.
Yeah. That sounds, aside from the snake part, the wildlife sounds magical.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The fleur-de-lance can bite victims just about anywhere on their bodies because it can open its mouth to nearly a 180-degree angle.
I wish I
and
didn't
the
know
strike
that.
is so fast that the victims can barely see it happen.
I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this knowledge, would this prevent you from rehiking the trail?
No.
No. Worth doing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the roads mostly in lowlands, or are you hiking through mountains as well?
You're hiking through mountains as well. The high point of the trail is around 7,500 feet.
Oh, wow.
So...
What's the low point? Probably sea level-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sea level.
Yeah.
Under sea level.
Under sea level.
The
Basically.
fleur-de-lance kills 200 to 300 people every year.
How many in Costa Rica?
More than any other snake in the Americas. I gotta check how many in Costa Rica.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. No,
Yeah.
it's the real deal.
Yeah. More than bears,
Not just
wolves,
bites,
and
kills.
lions. Yeah.
In the past years, the number was even higher because the snake often slithers into tropical plantation fields where it can find abundant prey, and its color blends in with sugarcane plants.
Huh.
Ooh. So they
Great gateway to... The trail goes through a lot of farming land.
Yeah.
Lots of sugar plantations, lots of bananas.
Dude, these things seem vicious.
It's not that they seem vicious.
Yeah.
They are vicious.
So the next section of this website is titled Funeral Boat. A man treks onto the Brazilian island of something to pick bananas, but the walk back to his boat takes him right past the ambush spots of several fleur-de-lance snakes. They sound organized, and they have ambush spots.
It's like the mafia.
In Snake World.
Yeah.
Not a world I want to be a part of.
I don't like knowing that the snakes have ambush spots and that they work together. Little does the man know that the snakes that bit him were golden lanceheads, the deadliest known species of fleur-de-lance. The man struggles into his boat and pushes off, but unless he gets help, he could be dead in a few minutes. Why did we need to do that scenario there? Okay, sorry, I'm fascinated. I'm closing out of this.
So, some climbs.
Yeah, the climbs never felt that rough to me. Some of the folks I interacted with on trail were like, you got a big day ahead of you.
Yeah.
But I think as the typical demographic of the trail, it's a big day for most thru hikers. It's whatever.
Yeah, fair.
Mm-hmm.
Did you deal with dehydration at all? Just, I imagine you're sweating a lot with 100% humidity and 90-degree temperatures.
Not really. I had some electrolytes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. You're not dehydrating your own food in this circumstance?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
Were you missing your home cooked meals?
Well, I was still getting the home cooked meals.
Yeah, I mean your home cooked meal.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm still kind of over some of the meals post PCT. The green in particular.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
But
aside from staying at people's houses, like, are you going through towns where, like, you can eat at restaurants? Like, are there other opportunities to boost the local economy?
yeah, there are. Lots of little towns and restaurants. And I didn't do this, but you can do it so that you can raft sections of the Pequari River while you're hiking, which is one of the most impressive whitewater rivers in the world. People, big rafters, love the Pequari. I decided not to just because I live in Salida and I go on the river for free all the time.
Yeah.
And so I didn't care enough.
Yeah.
But I know I ran into this one person who stopped and enjoyed the river, which I'm sure was amazing.
You said it was 180 miles, something like that?
175?
75?
I think.
How long did it take you?
12 or 13 days.
Okay.
And I felt like I was moseying.
Yeah.
So you could definitely do it faster, but the biggest complication is just the organizing where you're going to sleep.
Yeah. What are the biggest cultural differences in Costa Rica versus the U.S.?
I mean, the biggest thing is language, but I think Costa Rica is pretty used to travelers. And even in these areas that are remote that aren't used to travelers, no one was too shocked by me. I guess people were shocked that I was young and a woman and alone. But I think that's happened to me everywhere I've traveled. So I don't think Costa Rica is different in that scenario. When I hiked the JMT, people were shocked that I was young and a woman and alone.
Yeah.
So.
Were there any of the foods that were just like, I have no idea what I'm eating right now? Or was it all familiar enough?
Costa Rican food's pretty familiar. It's like plantains, rice, beans, eggs, something else, cheese.
Yeah.
It's a pretty straightforward diet.
Insects.
One of my first days in Costa Rica, not on the trail, there was a giant scorpion on my pack. In my bedroom.
Don't like that.
But other than that, nothing crazy.
No mosquitoes or anything?
In Costa Rica, yes. I don't remember them being too bad on the trail itself.
What happened with the scorpion on your pack? Did you kill it?
No. I
Because you surely didn't just go to bed.
No, I lifted my pack and threw it outside for a while. And then it
I would not
away.
have touched the pack.
Well, I had to. It was on my bed. It seemed easier to touch the pack than to touch the the scorpion.
I would have gotten my host mother.
Help
me.
At that point, I was fully alone. No one else was around.
I don't know.
And it was big, and I wasn't gonna like not lock eyes with it. Once I saw it and it was in my bedroom, it needed to be dealt with.
Yeah, no.
Instantly.
You got to establish dominance, be the alpha in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
The wildest scorpion encounter I've ever had, where I was more of a bystander, to be honest, but I was in Thailand, and we like had a habit of stay in town where we were going to school for a weekend and then go somewhere else in the country for the weekend. I can't remember exactly where we were, but it was dusk and we were going back to our hostel, and there were these kids playing in the road, and one of them just started screaming because there's a scorpion like where we were about to be walking, and the little kid just screams and runs inside, and the grandma comes out, like this old woman comes out hobbling on her cane, gets to where the scorpion is, and just starts beating the shit out of it with the cane. And I just stood there like, this is fucking nuts. But based on how like aggressively she went after it, it gives me fear.
Yeah, I
That's
thought they were
fair.
pretty docile.
I don't know. She was really not trying to have it survive.
Grandma's cane don't lie.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, I heard that the longer that they go without using their stinger, the more venomous they are, because it has more time to get potent. But I don't know if that's true. You're looking at me like it's not.
Or no, I don't like that fact.
Oh, okay. You were looking at me like, you're an idiot.
No, I just hope you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you could be right.
Someone could tell us.
There's another metaphor there. Well, shit, we're at your time. So with a few minutes left,
Yes.
what would you like to relay to the listeners of Backpacker Radio?
You should go on a long walk. It's so good in all the ways. But especially the Camino de Costa Rica, I think, is a really special trail, just in that it's new and exciting, and the community really wants it to help bolster the economy. And I think, like, what more can you ask for than like people wanting you to go? I think thru-hikers are oftentimes like traveling and thru-hiking together is oftentimes like it goes hand in hand. There's so many people from other countries who come and do things like the PCT. And so I think this is just kind of opening up the world to a completely different way of traveling. I'm excited to, like, the Camino definitely makes me excited to, like, choose a random country, and maybe there's not a specific trail made or whatnot, but, like, you can just link up a bunch of roads and travel through a country by walking. Like, why can't we do that, you know?
Yeah. So is that a preview of your future adventures?
It feels like it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you've done something every year since 2020. What will 2025
I know.
hold?
It feels like it's a pretty sedentary year, which is kind of a bummer. But also I love where I live, and it's like sedentary in quote because I live in the mountains.
Sure.
And I get to play all the time.
It's still early in the year. Things can happen.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, I started the year on a thru-hike, so
True.
anything's possible.
Fair. Before we wrap here, sponsor question, peak performance question presented by Topo Athletic. Use code TREKWINTER15 at topoathletic.com. What is your top performance enhancing or backpacking hack? Something that is not conventional wisdom that you swear by.
I feel like this is kind of conventional at this point, but the Rology ball is perfect.
The what?
Cork ball, yeah?
Yeah, the little cork ball. Everyone should have one. I love it. And then, this is actually super weird. That's something I do. You know, like in Gigi socks?
Mm-hmm.
So I've cut the toes off of them. And I wear just the toes under a pair of Darn Toughs.
Oh, I thought you were saying with your toes sticking out of the toe
No.
socks. We're like, that just sounds kind of like a sock.
How do you get they're like little hats for your toes.
I wear hats on my toes while I hike.
How do you get them to not slide off?
That's what the Darn Tough is for.
Wow. What does that help with?
The toe rubs. No blisters.
Why not just wear the full sock?
Because that sock is not as sufficient of a sock as other socks. That one breaks all the time.
Yeah.
I get holes in all sorts of spots.
Yeah.
I've sewed other socks into my Ngigis to fix the holes.
Even if you wear them under the Darn Toughs?
No, but that's just too much. I haven't done that. I'm not open to it.
I want to see you put on your toe hats and take them off one day.
It's a weird moment. I've definitely been walking around in bedrocks many a times just with my toe hats.
With your toe hats on?
And people are like, what the hell is this?
Have you ever called them toe hats before?
No, but I'm definitely going to keep doing it.
Yeah, right on. Well, Carrot Top, sorry, and thank you. Where should people go to keep up with you?
You can find me on Instagram at carrot_top with 3 Ps.
Awesome. Well, sounds like you got big things in store, whether for 2025 or beyond. But thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Yeah, thank you.
We're recording. Now I have to make extra sure. To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show. The first one I want to feature is by Jess. She's going to be on the podcast here very soon. You got to meet Jess for the first time.
Yes, face to face.
She's real. She exists.
She does.
And she's your neighbor.
And she is.
Yeah.
1.2 miles away.
Yeah. The piece is 20 Trek bloggers you should be following in 2025. Very simply, this is 20 of our early standout bloggers from various trails and folks you should definitely be following both on the Trek and their various social media channels. Had to link in the show notes for that one. This next one is certainly much less fun. This is by a new contributor, Caitlin Hardy. It goes, a German thru-hiker has been detained, deported, and banned from the U.S. without a hearing. Here's what you need to know. Certified bummer of a story. This is an experienced thru-hiker from Germany and a Trek blogger, Annika Ravenclaw Ananias, faced a nightmare ordeal upon arriving to Miami in late February of this year. Despite holding a valid B2 tourist visa, Annika was detained, interrogated, and accused of intending to work illegally in the U.S., allegations she firmly denies. She was separated from her American boyfriend and endured 22 hours in a holding cell, only to be deported back to Germany and slapped with a 5-year re-entry ban without any formal hearing. We obviously did reach out to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, but they declined our request to comment for the story, citing privacy reasons. Get the full story through the link in the show notes, but yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Sucks, like the full amount.
Well, and someone who has dated someone who's not from the U.S. before, to have the other person be banned from coming back for 5 years is like highly inconvenient for the relationship.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they are on the long path of love, if that has implications for like, should they ever want to get married?
I would imagine that throws a wrench into things.
Yeah, that freaking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I had heard other, what I would consider maybe not quite horror stories about like the customs process for international hikers, but nothing ever like this. This is next level.
Was this a German thru-hiker planning on thru-hiking, or was this a German thru-hiker just visiting who had thru-hiked?
She was going to hike the AZT.
Ah. Yeah, that stinks.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, get the full story for that one in the show notes. That sucks. Okay, question of the day. If you could only hike in one ridiculous outfit for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah, this is a tough one because it's for the rest of my life.
Did you go practical or pure entertainment value?
It's never a straight yes or no with me.
Okay.
So I thought about it, and I thought about the Hawaiian shirt combo because I did that on the AT and on the PCT, and that was fun. So I could see myself doing that forever, but that doesn't seem as ridiculous as it could be.
Yeah.
But if we talk about things that I have considered, and I think these would have to be things for a long hike, because I think if you're just doing a 2-week trail, it's not as fun to say I did a 2-week trail in jeans as it is to say I did the AT in jeans.
Or underwear that says, with an ass like this, who needs big tits?
Who needs big tits, right? How easily we've forgotten about that. So I think ridiculous outfits are more fun on longer trails. And I am between choosing jeans.
Okay.
Because I just think that's fun.
Yeah.
Or overalls.
Mm-hmm. Still in the denim train? I guess it doesn't have to be denim.
Doesn't have to be denim. Like Carhartt would be a very heavy pair of overalls.
Sure.
But
you were inspired by Justin.
Overalls of some sort. Yeah. I saw that outfit and I was like, oh, overalls are so cool.
Justin's so cool.
What are you... I told Garrett I saw his ass. I told him that he had Morgan Freeman. What?
What? No, that was your.
Oh, I thought
confession
you
for
were
him.
confessing something.
No.
No, he completely understood. I was like, Zach was trying to give me shit for asking to see the other cheek, and Garrett was like, no, I absolutely would have
Yeah.
too if it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like if it was that big.
No, you definitely had to.
So anyway, I think jeans, but I've also a fun romper could be cool, but it would have to be shorts on the bottom part of the romper so I could pull them to the side to pee. Because completely unrobing myself when I've already had people walk up on me while I'm shitting,
Yeah.
to be there in that position and like top naked too,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Could you construct like a catheter type tube that just like goes all the way down whatever you're wearing? Patent pending, by the way.
Yeah, patent pending. I don't know. But like maybe one of those cute athleisure dresses.
Okay.
Or like one of those cute little top bottom sets they wear to play pickleball.
Yeah. We're definitely veering a little too far from ridiculous at this point.
No, if someone saw me in a cute pickleball skirt and tank top set, they would say that I was dressed ridiculous.
I know people that hike in like sundress style attire. I mean, it's like performance.
Right, performance.
Yeah.
I'm talking like cute.
Okay.
Are
Are you implying that they're not hiking in cute outfits?
No, I'm just saying that
I'm thinking you're hiking in something that has never been hiked in before.
Yeah, I would pick like a streetwear outfit.
Okay.
Like jeans and a cute top that is probably not performance, but neither it was the Hawaiian shirt that was all cotton.
Yeah.
But just making it seem like I just like woke up and came out to do this.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be as funny on the AT because I might have just woken up and come out because there's so many roads, but something on the CDT maybe.
Yeah.
Or a long trail that's just like, I don't know. I think something like that could be fun. Or just a full-on costume, like a Party City costume.
That's kind of the direction I'm headed here. Is I would hike in the Green Man outfit.
What's that?
And paying homage to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's hard to do this with just one hand.
One of the morph suits.
What?
It's a morph suit.
Yeah, we're definitely.
That's my college mascot. Did you know that?
No.
SUNY Oswego, we are the Lakers. I don't know what a Laker is.
Is it a green
but
lake?
It would come out at games as a guy in a green morph suit.
Is it literally just over the face and everything?
It's literally just a green morph suit.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that outfit as Charlie as Green Man from It's Always Sunny.
It's weird that I know it as my college mascot,
Yeah.
but
you should. I know you're not the biggest Sunny person, but you should watch this particular episode because Frank ends up dosing him with like 14 hits of acid.
I think during COVID I watched every episode.
Really?
Yeah, because me and
there's like 14 seasons now.
It was COVID.
Okay.
So whatever there was out by COVID.
Yeah, maybe 10 at that point.
Because we weren't leaving our house at all. And one of the first days of COVID, which happy anniversary, I think it was officially today that it was announced as a pandemic 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty hazy timeline as to like.
No, not really, because my birthday is March 14th. This is March 12th, so I remembered it as being around my birthday. And I think it was the day after my birthday, maybe, that they sent us home from work. So, like, all that was kind of staggered, but the day that they were like, this is the day they announced this is officially a thing was like 2 days before my birthday.
Okay.
So.
Happy birthday.
But because of that, me and Elliot watched the quarantine episode of Always Sunny, and that spurred us down an Always Sunny rabbit hole when we had nothing but time on our hands.
There were some positives of COVID. I'm going to go on record and say that it was mostly a bad thing, but the fact that you could just guilt-free binge TV, because did the same thing. Veep was ours. We watched a shit ton of Veep.
I watched 2 seasons of that.
Yeah, Veep is very funny.
It is funny. I don't know. I feel like there's better answers I could find here for a silly outfit.
I was going impractical. I would never hike in Green Man, but it would be very funny just to see that because I'm sure I could probably convince some people that they just had a Bigfoot sighting.
True. A Bigfoot costume would also be fun.
That's a great one.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
There's the
a giant owl outfit.
Stop. A 4-foot owl? I could be that. I could be the 4-foot owl. Oh man. Yeah. Okay.
You give a lot of material for.
And I
future
only night
books.
hike.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get shot.
Who would even do such a thing?
Definitely at least someone who sees me at night and is scared and carries a gun while hiking.
Yeah. Great stuff. Triple Crown of Colorado stereotypes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start.
This one's easy, right?
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna have overlap.
Yeah. Subarus.
Yep, that was the first one on my list as well. I'm trying to dig up my list. Subaru's great. Beard having.
Yep. Easy.
Also flannel.
Yep. Easy.
Which is funny because when we host the hiker meetups, which we haven't done in a long time, in Denver, it is very difficult to tell the difference between hiker trash and just
People
the
who are
average
at the
person.
bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like hikers are oftentimes people in flannel with a long beard, and people who aren't hiker trash are often people with flannel and a long beard. It's we blend in here. We're camouflaged.
I feel like we're building a Colorado person with this Triple Crown because we've got a person who drives a Subaru with a beard and a flannel.
Yeah.
I'm going to add on to that.
You just described at least half of Colorado.
Yeah. I'm going to add on to that.
Yeah.
Owns a golden retriever.
I was going to say dog. That's much more specific, but...
Well, Golden's and golden.
Sure. Yep. I know 2 people that have beards. One of them doesn't really wear flannel, but the other does, and they both have Goldens.
I know 6 Goldens in my immediate friend group.
Yeah. It's a popular dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that. Craft beer.
I have IPA in my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got beards and beers.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're definitely hitting all the good ones. My last one is just absurdly good at some outdoor sport. Doesn't have to be through hiking, backpacking, but like you're either a mountain biker, you're a climber, trail runner, something to the effect, and you're absurdly good at it. Like we run a backpacking podcast that some people listen to. I'm not even the best endurance athlete on my block by a lot. I'm probably number 6, and it's not even a big block. Like,
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by the guy just next to me just ran a 50-mile race. The guy across the street from me ran he rode the triple bypass and then ran the Leadville.
Yep.
And like these aren't like sponsored athletes. These are just fucking guys that go to work on Monday. Like,
Yeah.
that's
I'm,
Colorado.
for the most part, the most sedentary person in my friend group.
Yeah. It is crazy.
With spurts of high activity, obviously, when I go do these, but day to day, like I cannot get someone to go to the gym with me at a normal hour. Everyone's going to the gym before their earliest work meeting, and there's no world where I can bring myself to the gym and be at work at 8 a.m. like these girls are, and I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
But there's just like an innate motivation. But I agree with you where I think being very good at a sport, that is that is not a team sport.
Right. Yeah.
A single person sport, like rock climbing, where I guess you have a belayer, but still.
Yeah.
Hiking, single person.
A sport without points.
Skiing, single person.
Yeah,
Snowboarding,
right.
single person.
Yeah.
Snowshoeing, single person. Bouldering, single person. Mountain biking, single person. Like all of these, kayaking.
Yeah.
Rafting. None of these are team sports.
Right.
We're very good at individual sports.
Yeah. 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 No. There was one time my buddy Mike was getting me set up with my first mountain bike, and it got delivered to his house for some reason. I don't remember. But like, someone rode by. He's like, "Hey, Mike," and it was literally an Olympic cyclist. Like, not exaggerating. It was an Olympic cyclist. Mike is also an Olympic cyclist, which just goes to show, like, yeah, it is a crazy, disproportionate percentage of the population that are just like absolute freak athletes out here.
Should we just keep building our Colorado person until we run out?
Sure. I think we got my big ones, but
Native bumper sticker on their Subaru
yeah.
in the green and white license plate
Yeah.
type format.
Yeah. Kind of contrary to what you're saying, I feel like a lot of people that are the Colorado stereotype are not from Colorado.
Yeah.
Like, most of the people I know are from the Midwest.
Transplants.
Yeah, transplants.
True.
Yep.
What else is very Colorado?
I think those are the good ones.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Can leave it at that. Sweet.
I have a thing of the week.
Oh, go.
This happened to me today when
Nice.
I was taking my detour here because there was 3 crashes on the one road I take here.
Mm-hmm.
So I just immediately got off of it. It said it would take an extra 11 minutes, and then I saw there were 3 crashes, and I thought, no way.
Yeah.
So I got off, and I went a different way. And there was a roundabout in my old neighborhood because they have been adding roundabouts everywhere. And people who listen to Backpacker Radio know I am diehard on the hill of roundabouts should be included on driving tests.
Mm-hmm.
And that a surprisingly, alarmingly large number of people don't know how to roundabout. Today I didn't know how to roundabout, and I feel very confident in my roundabout skills, but I did not see this one coming. You go into the roundabout, and when you're about to exit the roundabout, there's a stoplight, and it was yellow, and it turned red, and I thought, what the fuck? And I looked over, and there was a sign next to it that said, stop here when red, and it pointed to the exit of the roundabout. No, when you exit the roundabout, there's also a fire station, and I didn't stop because I thought, who the fuck puts a stoplight on a route?
Yeah, it does
I'm
feel
going to
like
stop in the middle of the roundabout?
Feels like it defeats the purpose.
That's so silly.
Yeah.
Put a stoplight. Why
Yeah.
the fuck would you put a roundabout there? Just put a stoplight.
Right.
So I've never seen that in my life before.
Yeah.
And that confused the heck out of me. And then I saw the sign and I saw it turn from yellow to red, but my brain was trying to process, like, where am I? Is this actually something I'm seeing? And so I already had gotten past it. I kind of did run that red light. And there was a fire truck just like sitting ready to leave the turn. So my theory is that that stoplight is there so that when fire trucks are exiting, you don't cut them off. Because it
Yeah.
wasn't on any of the other spurs of the roundabout,
Sure.
just that one.
Was there a fire truck exiting?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there were a bunch of accidents.
But his lights weren't on.
Yeah.
And they were kind of sitting there chill. He was on his phone when he was sitting in the driver's seat, so he didn't even notice that I had gone.
Yeah.
But I did give them like a, ooh, sorry wave.
Yeah. I mean, you both kind of had the right of way there. On the one hand, the fire truck had to go help people in physical distress. But on the other hand, you had a podcast to get to.
On the other hand, if he had to get places, he would have had his lights on and he wouldn't have been sitting on with his phone on the steering wheel, not paying attention that it was his turn.
Probably watching Always Sunny.
Probably. But also probably not an emergency, maybe just a cat in a tree.
True.
So I've never seen a stoplight when exiting a roundabout before,
Yeah.
and my mind is confused.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably that's probably like seeing a shooting star with the light actually turning red there.
Yeah. If anyone knows more about this, send us a letter, podcast@thetrek.co. Explain it to me.
Speaking of which, mailbag.
Mailbag. Loved the episode, especially Zach's questions about hiking with kids. As a very new dad, I'm anxious about my own ability to return to the trail in the future and navigating sharing that love with a little one. Regarding the safe distance to stare at the sun, 209 light years is way, way past far enough. The closest other stars to us are around 4 to 5 light years away,
This was
and
in
they're
relation
totally
to
fine
the
for staring at.
Strawbridge family episode, by the way, just to give some context. Sorry.
Judging from Wikipedia, it's probably marginal to stare at the sun around Mars, and probably safe to stare at the sun from around Jupiter. And then he links the Wikipedia article. This is probably still a bit wrong because I think it's only accountable for visible light, while I think a lot of the damage from sun staring is from UV light. Anyway, it's probably somewhere in our solar system. From Alex Kindle. And that is a Chuck Norris patron.
Yeah. I want more people to message in about this.
Yeah.
Because I know nothing about this, and I will never pretend to, but ChatGPT gave me a different answer, and I'm fully cognizant of the fact that ChatGPT and AI in general will often spit out bullshit, so I'm not saying that it's correct, but I keep adding pieces to the puzzle. So if somebody else knows something in addition to this, hit us up. But yeah, Alex, love the additional context. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
5-star review. Hey, Zach and Trance, 2 of my fave podcast hosts and besties in
Colorado.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you don't know me, but trust me, we'd be besties. I finally got my ass to figure out that scrolling down on the podcast show will get me where I can review. So I'm sending a screenshot of your well-deserved 5-star, because what kind of pal would I be if I didn't slap that sticker to my Nalgene? I hope we actually sent a sticker to this person. If you are the review giver and you haven't gotten a sticker, please email us again and be like, I will break kneecaps. Anywho, Pertaining to your double dip episode and trails you'd like to see, I grew up in Fargo and drove to the Badlands once. Drove, and it was excruciating when going highway speeds.
I've driven from the Badlands to Fargo, so I feel your pain, girl.
All right. I can tell you walking a trail across the flat estate where trees need to be planted just to disrupt the wind from creating huge dust storms and BS, blowing snow, would likely induce extreme boredom, loneliness, and pain in both your heart and legs from not a single foot of elevation gain. That being said, I do have a soft spot for ND and do think it's beautiful, albeit in small doses and definitely not during the negative 40 wind chill. By the way, fun fact, negative 40 is the same temperature in Celsius as it is Fahrenheit. Wind chill can't blink your eyes or unfreeze your nostrils time of year. Cheers to you both. I hope to find you close to my favorite trails in the White Mountains someday. Your favorite Rhode Island listener, Meg. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
And this gave me a really good idea.
Yeah.
For the day that we finally have all the free time in the world.
Yeah.
I don't have a job. You don't have kids.
Yeah.
Should
we do like a reunion tour when what's 18 plus now? I'm close to 60.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Because my thought is we do a hunt for the most boring long trail in America. Because this sounds pretty boring, but you've also said you've done a day.
Yeah.
But imagine having to do the whole Lone Star Trail and then doing this whole trail and comparing to see which one is more boring.
It's kind of like the opposite of what retirement's supposed to be.
I feel like at retirement age, you might embrace it more, though.
You're probably right that people are just like happy to get away from their homes and just be like, yeah, I just need something else.
Well, I'm thinking more like your body's probably tired, so.
Sure, but like you could go do Camino Santiago as opposed to walking across North Dakota.
Okay, we'll put that one on the back
assuming
burner.
you can financially
We can find something better for our reunion tour.
That was your idea.
The reunion tour?
No, I'm saying doing a boring trail.
Yeah, I know, but then you made it seem like, okay, there's probably better things.
Yeah.
Which defeats the whole purpose of finding a boring trail.
Yeah.
And then I agreed.
Yeah. But thank you, Meg. If you guys want to hear your review right on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars.
Just not 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Good. And send us a screenshot of your review. Email us at podcast@thetrek.co, and we will send you a sticker.
Mm-hmm.
Send you a sticker.
Why'd you copy that and paste it right next to sponsor mention? That's the first paragraph of the mailbag.
I didn't mean to. See, it's hard to operate this with just one hand. I was trying to dig up in my inbox where that came from so I could give the context of what episode was.
Got it.
That was in relation to.
That's why I was slow on the 1, 2, 3, and 4, because I was like, why is that there?
Got it. Fair enough. Big shout out to today's title sponsor, Topo Athletic. Use our code TREKWINTER15 for 15% off your cart at topoathletic.com. We are big fans of these shoes. I've been living in my pursuits. You know, once you just wear a pair of shoes enough that it becomes your foot home.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have the Ultra Venture as well, which I'm excited to get more testing on. But like, I just now feel a kinship with the pursuits, and I don't want my feet to be doing other stuff. I feel monogamous with them. But from a backpacking standpoint, love these shoes because they are incredibly durable. You can slide right into them, and they're going to be comfortable no matter what. 0 to minimal drop.
Wide toe box. That part I've liked.
Yeah.
Because that's something I've been afraid about switching to different brands of shoes, is having literally anything change. And when I went to Hoka's, they just were not the right shoe for me, which kind of stunk in the moment because I'm like, everyone likes Hoka's right now, and boy, do I want to be on a bandwagon.
Yeah.
You know? But not every shoe works for every person, and the Hoka's didn't work for me, at least not the pair I tried. So I do get apprehensive when switching shoes, and that was one of the most notable things for me when I first put them on, was like, this doesn't feel significantly different.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing for me because I felt more comfortable trying them, and then I had no blisters.
Yeah. And I would say if you've used another low to zero drop shoe that has a wide toe box and you're disappointed in the durability, give the Topos a try and use our code TREKWINTER15. I think you'll be happy. Thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon.
I think we read this.
Did we read this one?
Yeah, because you said hood rat. Remember? And then
No, but that was me improvising, trying to come up with his name. I don't think I did read this.
Oh, okay. Because I just deleted this part because I definitely went through all those.
Did you?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I did. I remember we had a back and forth banter.
I don't think so.
I remember.
I'm throwing the challenge flag.
Fine. I said hoodoo was outdoor themed, and you said something else that started with Hood. I think it was Mount Hood, and we were like also
I remember
outdoor
that part,
themed.
but I don't know if that means that we read this.
Well, I know the part that I highlighted and deleted. I definitely read.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read our message
Okay,
from
read it
Chuck
anyway.
Norris Award Patreon, Carl Hood. Just up to Chuck Norris tier and wanted to see if I can provide pronunciation assistance for my last name. Hood is said the same way as Hood. If Zach gets a hold of that, I'm sure it will end up as Into Hood. It ended up happening that way. Wow, no one has thought of that one before. Smiley face. Seriously, the ad-free thing is why I bumped up. That's worth my money every week. Spend it well, palooza-ing, and all that jazz.
Okay, now I remember this part we did not read because you said hood rat, and then I said that's so funny because he said that you would end up saying into hood, and then we spurred from there.
So I win the challenge flag. I win the challenge flag.
No, because I was talking about the part I deleted.
Yeah, but you said that we had read that. And
The
I
part I
said,
deleted.
no, you said this entire thing.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I?
I'm throwing the challenge flag on that.
All right,
We're going,
fine. Give me the wheel.
yeah.
If I have to take a shot right now, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay.
Come on, 15-second beer. Oh, let's go.
So I have to chug for 15 seconds?
You have to finish a beer in 15 seconds.
That's what you mean by 30 seconds and 15 seconds?
Yeah, you got the worst one.
I thought that was just how long we had to chug for.
If you can't finish a beer in 15 seconds, you really don't even need to be.
Anything? I just don't need to be.
You don't need to be.
Can cease being?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I would help you out, but I don't have a hand. And also, you're the drink bee.
I am the drink bee.
Yeah.
I no longer feel bad about making you tape beers to your
I don't think you ever felt bad about that, for being totally honest.
It's bad because it's cold. I can't drink a cold beer that fast.
You should have thought of that before you said the wrong thing.
Okay, I know.
So I'll start this once the beer hits your lips.
Okay.
That worked out. Very nice.
Enough. It's just too cold. Okay, we can try. Show it to me so I can see what I'm going with. Oh, I'm gonna need to wear my glasses. All right. Ready?
Once it hits your lips, I'll hit it. You better be a third of the way done with that beer.
It hurts. Ow. No, I've got brain freeze in my heart.
All right. Well, we're not going to stop the segment until you finish your beer. So we'll take your time and just remain silent until you do.
I think my chest is frozen. Okay. Just let it warm up a bit. Don't you rub people like this when they stop breathing or something?
It's not. I've never had that first
They
aid
did
training.
it to a... What was the dog they did it to in a movie?
You're stalling right now.
I know.
Might as well call you Joseph with all that stalling.
Hey now. You're an all-star. Get your game.
We're at the dad joke portion of today's episode.
What if I take a sip for every Chuck Norris Award winner we say?
I think at this point you just gotta finish your beer.
It's
ASAP.
really cold. I'm trying.
You know what? Your stomach's warm, so
It's not. Actually, that's the problem.
you got a cold stomach.
It's very warm. It's very cold right now. That's why
All
I'm
that
rubbing it.
All that snake talk.
I'm
at
rubbing
you,
my
cold-blooded.
sternum. I wasn't built for this. We gotta leave like 2 warm beers on the shelf.
You could stop your beer there and then just take a shot. Call it square.
No.
Okay,
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
that's good radio.
These are foamy burps. They're burps that then foam up and then...
You get to drink it twice.
Yeah. Well, at least talk or something so they're not just listening to me burp.
I think this is way more satisfying.
We're losing listeners.
We're at the end of the show. They're already out.
Oh my god.
This is a good place to plug the YouTube. If you don't want just silence and audible gasps, you can view the thorough display that we're getting here in this beer jug.
It hurts.
It's a Pacifico. It's the most drinkable beer in the world.
It's also colder than the Rockies right now.
Mm. Can you hear it getting down there?
It's close.
I feel like that's a clown car beer. Like the amount of drinks that you've taken feels like there should be 40 ounces of beer.
I
in that one.
agree. It's lasting forever.
Yeah.
I'm almost done. I'm gonna throw up.
Hey, that was pretty fast.
Shut up.
Super big thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Alex Kindle, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Stenberg, Brian Alsop,
Tables.
Carl Hood, Mountain Hood, Carl Mountain Hood. We'll do that for now. Christopher Marshburn, Coach from Marion Outdoors, Derek Cook, Eric Casper,
Friendly ghost.
Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell Dunn, Jillian Daniels, Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Greg McDaniel,
Maybe bring on his name.
Griffin Haywood, you bring Chauncey Beer, Haley Buckingham,
Palace.
Mad Tom, Patrick Cianciala, Rebecca Brave, Sawyer Products, Spam, Timothy Hahn,
Solo.
and Tracy Sugar. I thought there was going to be more bubbles to that Fonz.
I did too.
I was a little bit hoping that you just puke on the
I-
keyboard.
If listen, if it came to that, I wouldn't even go to the garbage can. I would just puke all over your little recording box and tell you to clean it up.
By the way, this is our little recording box. Thanks to Polly at Old Man Murph's Coffee Roasters, ommcr.com. Get yourself some delicious beans. You can follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok at Backpacker Pod on X, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Chauncey.
You can find me on... Oh, God. You can find me on YouTube at Juliana Chauncey. I'm uploading my Teton Crest Trail videos now.
Hopefully the uploads are faster than your beer drinking.
No, because I should have had video 2 uploaded today, and I just didn't. I've been busy. So that one I'll put up later this week. You can find me on Instagram at Juliana_Chauncey. And Friday, in real time, is the 5-year anniversary of Hiking from Home. Long distance hiking guide for family and trails. I know because I released it on my birthday because I'm a selfish human. But this book is not a selfish book because it's meant to help the people around you understand what you're doing on trail. And the best birthday gift would be giving it to someone you love. So that's on Amazon or on my website. But I am slow with shipping times because of who I am as a person.
That beer really unearthed the book plug in you.
I just can't process things right now.
Right.
And it wasn't the beer, it was the 5-year. Did you miss the birthday?
Yeah.
5 years.
Oh, I did miss that part.
That was the whole part. That was it. That was all of it.
I blacked out. Sorry.
Wish my book a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, book.
Well, wish
Not
me
you.
one.
Not
Now wish
you.
me one. Wish
Nope.
me one.
Only the book, not you. Appalachian Trials and Pacific Crest Trials are my books. They're some years old. Chauncey and I would also be very grateful for a review on Amazon.
Yeah.
Subscribe, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube. Already did that one.
Hi, Internet.
YouTube is where most of the audio, or some of the audio for this one, is going to be derived from. I fucked up. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. I forgive you.
And that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.
Bye.